Test. Test. All right, the City of Two Rivers calls to order the City Council regular meeting for Monday, January 17th, 2022. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Moving right along, number 3, which is roll call. Jamie.
Mark Bittner.
Here.
Jeff Delkey.
Here.
Tracy Coach.
Here.
Bill LeClaire.
Here.
Darla LeClaire.
Here.
Jay Remiker.
Here.
Bonnie Shimulunis.
Here.
Larry Thomas.
Here.
Adam Husky.
Here. All right, we can skip over number 4, seeing everyone is present. Moving on to number 5, which is the public hearing. Under A, it's a conditional use permit for a recreational vehicle service business at 1900 School Street in the B2 Business District. The motion here will be to approve the conditional use permit. Greg, do you want to give any background before we open it up?
These are 2 conditional use permits that had been in effect for a number of years as Lon and Kitty Wendt owned K&L Enterprises at 1900 School Street. They recently sold the business. The new owner is Matthew Diedrich, and Mr. Diedrich is in the audience tonight in the event you have any questions. The earlier conditional use permits were granted specific to the period of the Wendt's ownership, so they had to be applied for once again. But these essentially, in both cases here, the conditional use permit for an RV service business and for rental, storage, and repair of utility trucks and trailers are essentially as had existed previously under the Wendt's ownership, and they're both recommended for approval by Plan Commission.
Okay, thank you. So what we're going to do now is we'll open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this topic, please step up to the microphone, the podium, my right, your left. State your name and address for the record. Opening up for call number 1. Closing call 1. Call in for call 2. Closing call 2. Third and final call. All right, seeing none, we are going to close the public hearing portion, and we're looking for a motion to approve this conditional use permit. Do I have a motion? Mark?
I'll make a motion, Mr. President, to approve the conditional use approved.
Thank you, Mark. Larry, second. Any discussion among council? All right, seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Jamie?
Mark Bittner.
Aye.
Jeff Delkey.
Aye.
Tracy Coach. Darla LeClaire.
Aye.
Bill LeClaire.
Aye.
Jay Remiker.
Aye.
Bonnie Shimulunis.
Aye.
Larry Thomas.
Aye.
Adam Husky.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And B is a conditional use permit for the rental, storage, and repair of utility trucks and trailers at 1900 School Street in the B2 Business District. Recommended action here is a motion to approve the conditional use permit. This pretty much piggybacks off of A, I believe. Is there anything you need to add to this part, Greg?
No.
Okay, then we're going to open it up to the public hearing. First call. Again, step up to the podium, my right, your left. State your name and address for the record. Call 1. All right, closing call 1, opening call 2. See none, closing call 2, and opening up the third and final call. Closing call 3. So looking for a motion to approve this conditional use permit. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second? Tracy, thank you. Any discussion among council? See none. This is a roll call. Jamie?
Jeff Delkey.
Aye.
Tracy Coach. Darla LeClaire.
Aye.
Bill LeClaire.
Aye.
Jay Remiker.
Aye.
Bonnie Shimulunis.
Aye.
Larry Thomas.
Aye.
Adam Husky.
Aye.
Mark Bittner.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes the public hearing portion. Moving on to number 6, which is input from the public. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? Anything related to this agenda or something you'd like to see on a future agenda, please step up to the podium. My right, your left. State your name and address for the record. All right, see none. We'll take over to number 7, council communications. Any council members that have letters or other communications from citizens they wish to share with the rest of the council?
I do.
Okay, Bonnie?
Someone asked me about the polling places because they're concerned that it shrunk from 4 till 2. And they're concerned about the lines being longer. And I don't necessarily blame them. And I think it's something, I hope we talk about it a lot to remind people that this is happening. Because I know people are going to forget and just go to their old place. And I did vote to do this, so I'll take responsibility for that, for at least part of it, if it doesn't work. And I also hope that if it is a problem, I hope it'll get solved and addressed. Do you know what I mean?
I think it shouldn't be
Oh, I'm
I'll
just
let
saying.
Jamie speak to it, but we ordered those Badger books, which is going to speed up the process. So we're not going to have to go through that whole table. And they're going to be able to log in quick. So we're thinking it's going to be just as short of a wait time as it was before, but Jamie can elaborate probably, or Greg.
Right,
Okay,
so once we get those Badger books, we may not have them yet for April because they're on a longer back order than we thought. We will have 4 check-in points at the Abundant Life Church for busy elections, and we'll have 6 check-in points at St. Peter the Fisherman. So before where we would have had 1 or 2, they're going to have 4 or 6 places to check in. So it's going to be much quicker.
Where did you say they were? St. Peter the Fisherman and where?
The Abundant Life Church.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I thought,
Does that answer?
oh, yeah, I just thought she said a different place.
Okay. Anyone else have any council communications from citizens that they'd like to share? No? All right. On to number 8. Council reports from boards, commissions, or committees. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share from a board, a commission, or a committee that they sit on? Mark?
One update on the room tax committee, which Greg is going to cover during his session. And second, for public information, there is a personnel and finance committee meeting. Public's welcome. It's at 6 o'clock on Thursday night.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Okay, city managers report. Greg?
Okay, I'll start by noting we do not have any invited guests to acknowledge tonight. So I'll move on and move fairly quickly through my annual State of the City report. This follows the City Council's Personnel and Finance Committees and Council's review at midterm of the goals that were adopted for 2021 to 22. And that I would note, as this slide says, a complete listing of the 2021 to 22 goals as adopted by the City Council last June can be found out on the city's website, two-rivers.org. I'll try to go through these fairly quickly. In many cases, I've tied these back to specific goals, but been pretty much under the theme of 2021 in review. It was a good year. It was a good year in many respects. First of all, it was a good year for local property values. Last August, the Wisconsin Department of Revenue reported that the equalized value of existing properties in the city had increased by 7.9% over the course of 2020. Residential properties led the way, increasing by 9.65%. That's good news. And we know, of course, property values were going up all over the country, but it is worth noting in the context here in Manitowoc County, Two Rivers' increase in valuation outpaced both that of the city of Manitowoc, 7.9 versus 5.72%, and Manitowoc County as a whole, 7.9 versus 5.79%. Based on what we know about notably home sales in 2021, we expect when the state reports out on their sales study and their annual equalized value numbers that we'll see another healthy increase for 2021 reported in 2022. So that is, well, nobody on staff or council pretends we control those things. We like to think the city's services and initiatives contribute to property values, and that's consistent with the city's goals of focusing on new revenue streams and operational sustainability. and encouraging and facilitating projects that will increase city tax base, both in terms of new construction and increasing the market value of existing properties. Also in the residential realm, it was a good year, at least in terms of lot sales, for single-family development. Lot sales at the city-developed Sandy Bay Highlands Conservation Subdivision totaled 8 in 2021, and then there's another lot under contract to close in January, end of this week, I believe. We certainly expect to see a good number of new homes under construction this year if construction prices and supply chain issues and other things that are a problem right now cooperate. Again, there were 5 lot sales in 2020, 8 in 2021. We saw 2 new homes constructed in that area in 2021. And that's good news because in a town where our existing assessed values are right around $100,000 per residential property, new residential does value higher. The average assessed value of homes in the subdivision is just a little over $250,000. Equally important, it's giving families another option who want to have new housing. We think we've come through a good year and laid the groundwork for a good year for market rate multifamily housing. We've seen 6 new condo units constructed at the Washington Highlands development, TID number 8, and the Council and Plan Commission have seen preliminary plans for 45 new units of market rate apartment housing on the former Hanson the Florist site, which has been a priority redevelopment site for the city going back at least as far as our 2010 comprehensive plan. The developers we're working with for the 3000 Forest Avenue project anticipate a $7 million total project with assistance details to be worked out, but assistance from TID number 15, which was created in 2021 for that specific purpose. It was a good year for affordable multifamily housing because if we're going to grow the community's population and provide workforce housing for hopefully new families moving into the community, we need quality, affordable housing. And we have seen progress over the past year toward the West River Lofts becoming reality. That's a proposed 54-unit affordable housing development proposed on vacant land next to the former Edgars West plant, just across the West Twin River. That's been approved for WIDA tax credits. Recently got site and architectural plan approval from the Plan Commission. We'll be reporting back on that during the first quarter. We've seen the year ended on a positive note for new industrial development with the groundbreaking, the official groundbreaking January 7, but the construction actually beginning in December of last year for All Energy Management, Ian Slager's new facility out at the industrial park. That project is being assisted with a grant from Tax Incremental District number 14 out at the industrial park. That was not created in 2014. I slipped on that. It was 2021. And other companies, both within the park and prospective new tenants, have recently shown interest in investments at the Woodland Industrial Park. Council's aware of some of those from our closed session discussions. And that again is consistent with building our revenue base, operational sustainability for the long term for the city, and driving strategic community development. We've had a good year for downtown. We expect more good things in 2022. Some of the things I thought were worth sharing is that we did have downtown property owners who tackled facade projects assisted by funding from the city and the Main Street program. Schrader's did some work on their facade. There was a signage grant for Schrader's Marketplace, signage grant for Linda Loves Cheesecake, and there is a major facade renovation project still underway. Again, I think windows are holding things up from what I hear at 1603 Washington, the former Kresge building that has been bought by Weichert Real Estate. That's going to be a very nice project in the downtown. We also saw new hanging planters deployed along Washington Street. They'll be deployed with even bigger flowers in them next year, as Darla and other Main Street board members can attest. Big flowers, going to be bigger than the pots next year. And
Nice and bright.
yeah, yes, bright pink, we think. And also, and frankly, Darla Leclerc deserves a lot of credit on this. Main Street organized and was the host organization for the Brian Lee Memorial Blues Festival. I think it started as Brian Lee Day, thinking it was going to be a one-time thing. but it was so very well received that it is planned to become an annual, a very special annual event in our downtown. Also downtown, we saw the announcement of plans by local investors, Wine Not LLC, for a $2 million downtown project, Cool City Brewing Company, over in the vacant former Wells Fargo Bank. Not just in the bank, but outside at the bank as well, as the facility will feature drive-up window for food and beverages, and will also have outdoor dining for about 80 folks. That's a big deal to see that building reused in the context of our downtown. It was a good year for downtown in terms of the commitment made by City Council, working with the Citizen Design Committee to move forward on a transformative project to upgrade Central Park West and add features to make that space a year-round public venue for outdoor activities downtown. That is the Central Park West 365 project, where fundraising is gearing up, and I hope by the next meeting to give an update on some significant community donations for that project. So that's a big deal in the context not only of downtown, but the community. 2021 was a very good year for tourism. 2021 room tax receipts totaled $240,849. That exceeded 2020 by just over $85,000 or 68%. And 2020 had been a record year as well. So things are headed in the right direction there. In 2022, we'll be embarking on a new chapter in tourism promotion and development, as neither the City of Two Rivers nor the City of Manitowoc are going to be partners in the Manitowoc Area Visitor Convention Bureau. That organization and all of the efforts of its staff and board have served us very well over the years. I think some of the numbers we talk about speak to that, and we certainly as a community expect to keep building on the growth of our local tourist economy. That's good for community development, and it's consistent with the goal of growing a vibrant, sustainable, safe, and connected community. A lot of the things that visitors like are quality of life assets for those of us that are lucky enough to live here year-round, whether it's the trails, our beaches, our festivals, numerous events. Also noting it was a good year for tourism. Over 25% of those room tax revenues collected last year were from individual vacation rentals. Two Rivers presently has 33 of the 83 individual vacation rentals licensed by Manitowoc County. And it's worth noting as well that during the past year, our most famous vacation rental property, the Frank Lloyd Wright designed Still Bend or Shorts House, was featured on the season 2 premiere of The World's Most Amazing Vacation Rentals on Netflix. That was great PR for that landmark property and great exposure for Two Rivers. Of course, we also saw the first full year of operation last year of the 55-room Cobblestone Hotel downtown overlooking the harbor. That, of course, opened in August of 2020. So all indicators on the tourism front very positive. It's incumbent on us as a community in light of events, which weren't our desire, to move forward in that regard. And we'll talk some more about that in a bit. 2021 was a good year for major redevelopment initiatives. Now, all of these are works in progress, but they did make a fair amount of progress during the past year. That includes work on marketing the former Edgars East downtown waterfront property. The city purchased that to put a stormwater pond on the north third of the property. There is strong developer interest in the balance of that property. And of course, during the past year, the council did approve creation of TID number 16 to potentially assist with development of that property, which would be consistent with the council goal of seeing more market rate multifamily, both rental and condo, notably in the downtown waterfront areas. 606 Parkway Boulevard, I'm not going to call it the Paragon building anymore. 606 Parkway Boulevard, or we hope soon the Trivers LLC property, is, of course, was acquired through foreclosure on an economic development loan. It has been marketed for redevelopment for a couple of years now. As you well know, it is under contract, and we're optimistic something good is going to happen there in 2022. I would note we've passed 45 days in the due diligence period, so the prospective purchaser, Trivers LLC, Art Dumke, has $25,000 in earnest money that's now non-refundable. Probably more significantly, their contractors and consultants are spending a lot of time at the building. They're honestly doing their due diligence. That's very good to see. Finally, a property that the city picked up in 2019 for specifically for redevelopment. The long, empty, blighted, tax delinquent former Unimart on Washington Street at 21st was through last Friday at noon out for proposals. The council does have two proposals, I think two pretty interesting proposals to review tonight in closed session. So we didn't acquire any of these, except for the pond. We didn't acquire any of these properties to hold on to them long term, but to facilitate development. The past year was a good year for city finances. As the 2020 audit came in, it affirmed that our fund balance in the general fund had improved by about $192,000 over the prior year. And we are presently projecting a similar operating surplus in the general fund from 2021 operations. It'd be nice to get that general fund balance up to the area of, say, 30% of annual operations, or about 3 million. We stand to 2 right now, so that's doable. The financial health of the utilities continues to improve, notably in the water utility, where an outstanding deficit fund balance of close to $2 million was improved by $450,000 as a result of 2020 operations. And when we see the final results of 2021, we expect another decent improvement on the order of $200,000 in the water utility. Council has done its job, obviously, on behalf of the taxpayers and ratepayers. The 2022 budget, as adopted in early December, included a city tax rate increase. Yes, an increase of 1.79%. That was about a percentage point less than was initially proposed. And it's worth noting that that followed a couple of small decreases in the prior years. The city tax rate, dollars per thousand for city debt service and library, for this year's budget is 1.58% higher than it was 5 years ago. So pretty good number, and councils continued to be good stewards, as have staff on that. Last year, again, was a good year for investing in our infrastructure. We took a breather on major street and utility projects in 2020 due to COVID. We moved ahead in 2021 with projects on 24th, 25th, and Madison Streets. That was $4.2 million worth of work, nearly $1 million in underground utility work funded from TID number 8, the old high school TIF district, and $850,000 in direct funding, principal forgiveness or grants from state and federal sources. So close to 50% of that project, those projects funded from other than purely local revenue sources. The city continues to pursue replacement of lead water service laterals, making use of available state and federal funding assistance. And that includes planning over the next several years to take the county up on its offer of matching dollar for dollar from the county's American Rescue Plan allotment, but matching dollar for dollar whatever the city spends out of its ARPA funds of $1,150,000 for lead lateral replacement. So if we stick to spending all of that on lead service lateral replacement, that'd be $2.3 million invested in eliminating lead service laterals. It deals with a pretty big chunk, but remember, we've got 2,000 lead laterals out there in the system. So we will, even if we do that, we'll probably still have about 1,600 left after those funds are spent. It's something we're in for the long haul. But we continue, there's just to ad lib here a little bit, there's a survey just going out to residents along Roosevelt Street related to neighborhood incomes. So hopefully we can have success in pursuing block grant dollars to assist in reconstructing that street in the future. That would be another way of leveraging outside dollars. Of course, for the coming year, the council's approved in the budget the reconstruction of 17th Street from the bridge to Zlatnik at the beach, and also the block between East Park and Jefferson downtown, also resurfacing on Zlatnik. So the city continues to plug away reinvesting in its infrastructure. These aren't directly city things, but I think they speak to the civic health of the community. 2021 was a good year for entrepreneurial spirit. You know, a lot of uncertainties in the economy posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, but there's still great evidence of a growing entrepreneurial spirit in the county, in the city too. Sorry, and just highlighted here the high lift proposal for the former Peterson's Mobile Station over on Madison and 12th Street. Great project there. All Energy Management, another local entrepreneur, making that happen out at the industrial park. And then 2 local families and other local investors as entrepreneurs investing in Cool City Brewing Company. So whether it's Emily doing coffee in a redeveloped, vacant, blighted property that's going to have a huge impact over at 12th and Madison, Ian Slager, native son, serving industry in the energy technology space, or the partners from Why Not LLC and their investors. These are all people that are making things happen here in the community. We know there are other properties that are under option for purchase, so we got reason to be pretty optimistic about 2022. It was also a good year for generous community support in a community that does support its city government, its schools, its civic institutions. We've benefited from numerous generous donations over the past year. I'm just highlighting a few of them here. Jim Toddy, our friend and former TR council member, early in the year made several, from his estate, several generous donations to the city, the police department, the fire department, and the senior center. Those total over $250,000 altogether. A portion of Jim's bequest to the police department, $50,000, was earmarked for adding a canine officer. The department developed a very responsible budget and said, you know, realistically, this is a $100,000 commitment. And true to form, Two Rivers, both individuals, companies, civic groups, stepped forward and quickly met that fundraising goal. And our new canine officer joins the force in February. And yes, we'll be here at a future meeting to meet the council. Area resident and pickleball player, Gary Underwood, donated $4,500 to cover design costs for rebuilding the Washington Park tennis courts as 4 pickleball courts and 1 tennis court. Did I get that right, Terry? 6. I always get it wrong. I'll fix it for the public version. 6 and 1. And that is a $150,000 project to be completed this spring. As early as possible. The pre-construction or pre-bid, meeting was held last week. Bid opening is next Thursday. So that's coming along. All examples of the generosity of the community, and there are lots of others, but allowing the city to do things we wouldn't otherwise be doing. I know the police department, probably Brian will be announcing shortly some other technology made possible by a generous private donation here in the community. That's the sort of place we live in. And honestly, with the Central Park West project, we're making a big ask of the community as well. But Two Rivers has always risen to the occasion. Good year for generous community support. That is my state of the city for 2021. A lot of things in process, so I'm hoping over the course of 2022, we have some other good things to report.
Greg, if I could make a comment, just for the public to be aware, the Personnel and Finance Committee was initially charged with review of Mr. Buckley's performance and achievements against our 6 key strategic goals. He summarized in a brief amount of time, but I want you to know the committee spent 4 hours reviewing this completely. Then we presented to the City Council, and the City Council unanimously agreed that he's doing a good job. So anyone who thinks he's not closely monitored or evaluated is totally wrong. And thank you for doing this. And there are many people in the city who are also involved in these achievements. And as a resident, I appreciate it.
We collectively, council and staff, I dare say have done a good job. With some of those errors cleaned up, this will be posted tomorrow to the website and Facebook. Next up is my city manager's report. I'll go especially fast through that. I would, of course, note today is Martin Luther King Day. We do not close our city facilities for the King holiday, but we do note its significance as Dr. King is both memorialized at the MLK Memorial in stone, and his spirit lives on in so much, in so many current issues in our society. We talked briefly in the State of the City about tourism strategy. The Room Tax Commission, Mr. Bittner might want to speak to this as well, at its meeting on January 11 last week, approved a contract for interim services. And also that contract is to review promotion strategies for the coming spring, summer, and fall seasons. We do plan on continuing to work with the Manitowoc Area Visitor and Convention Bureau, which we understand at its relocated offices on Dewey Street remains in operation, continues to be true to its commitment to promoting the Manitowoc Two Rivers area for tourism. And that's where we're headed. Amy James, who has experience as Tourism Services Director for the Wapaka Area Chamber, and also extensive community downtown and tourism work with Future NINA and in other capacities, will be helping us through that interim period with that contract for services. And she will be starting work next week, Monday. And we do plan to include an update and discussion on the council's January 31 work session agenda. I'll be inviting the Room Tax Commission members beyond those. We'll invite Jim Van Lannen Jr. as well as the 3 council members and the city manager that serve on the Room Tax Commission and post that as a joint meeting. So stay tuned. Again, just by way of update, this past Friday, the 90-day due diligence period for the contract purchaser of the Paragon building, Mr. Dumke, hit the 45-day mark. Deposit of earnest money deposit of $25,000 has become non-refundable at this point. As I mentioned before, probably more significantly, every day, it seems, for the last 2 weeks, there have been people going through there, folks looking at mold and asbestos abatement, structural engineers looking at the underside of the steel roof deck to evaluate its ability to hold the new roofs that need to go on the building. Lots of time spent appraisers going through. Russ Blaha isn't here tonight, but Ross is about worn out his key as the key holder and gracious host for the city. As you can imagine, Ross is letting folks in there. There was a call the other day about letting someone in at 2 p.m. and he said, they can come at 2 a.m. I don't care as long as this keeps moving. So that's the spirit. You've got it on your agenda tonight in terms of an authorizing resolution. Elizabeth Runge and our Community Development Office are working on an application for a $250,000 WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, idle sites grant to possibly assist with that project. Frankly, we think for a program that's designed to assist with redevelopment of large non-vacant manufacturing facilities, you couldn't hit it more straight on than the property at 606 Parkway. Again, I mentioned 2 proposals were received by the noon deadline last Friday, January 14, for the lovely property at 2023 Washington Street. Those will be discussed tonight in closed session by council with the opportunity for action on reconvening. Just to remind folks, that property was acquired by the city from the county in April 2020 to facilitate redevelopment of that property. It had sat there for over 10 years, tax delinquent. The city, through an arrangement with the county and the DNR, was able to enter into an agreement under section 75106, I believe it is, of statutes, where basically the county assigned its rights in tax foreclosure to the city. And we're optimistic something good will happen there. As far as infrastructure projects starting up, council awarded this bid last fall, but the contractor is now planning to start within the next 2 weeks on the Edgars Pond, which will serve will provide stormwater management for about a 45-50 acre area of the downtown, basically everything from Washington Street to the East Twin River, from the 17th Street Bridge to the 22nd Street Bridge will be handled through this pond. Consistent with our discussions and plans, we were able to strike a property line dividing the 3.5 acre parcel into the northerly pond parcel, which is everything that's needed for construction and maintenance in the future of that stormwater pond. The balance of the site, shown here in yellow on the map, is a separate parcel that is a lot available for development. That's one we have been discussing and been doing some marketing of. Any offers forthcoming, council will be the first to know, but that's the lay of the land over there. We did get the necessary DNR permit about 2 weeks ago to dispose of excess soils from the pond site off-site, and those will go out to our soils disposal area that we use for dredge materials as well off Miro Drive in the industrial park. The total Edgars Pond project cost is the contract of $677,000 that was awarded to Superior Sewer and Water with a 25% allowance for engineering contingencies is about an $846,000 project. There is grant assistance helping with the property acquisition, and I believe we got about 30% principal forgiveness in the DNR loan on that one. We talked about All Energy Management before. They did their groundbreaking a week ago Friday on January 7th. Ian Slager, the principal in Slager Properties and All Energy Management, is the young man second from the left in the photo there. Skipping back to infrastructure project, council also awarded a contract this fall for the Pine Tree Lift Station project. This is replacing an aged and leaking lift station on the east side of the city. It's about a $381,000 project. They'll be starting pretty soon while the ground is fairly hard over there, and expect to have it wrapped up by May. The deadlines now have come and gone for people to file to appear on the ballot in April for election to city council. There are three-year terms up for election, and the 6 candidates shown here in the order that they will appear on the ballot are Tim Petri, Doug Wolf, Bill LeClaire, Larry Thomas, Scott Steckmesser, and Travis Van Lannen. Appearing separately on the ballot, but also in April, will be a vote on selecting a council member for a 2-year term. That's to fill the balance of the term that Larry Thomas is in right now, which was 2 years left on what was Kurt Andrews' term before he resigned. 2 individuals did file to run for that position. And again, in the order they appear on the ballot, they are Jason Ring and Roger Van Voltenberg. Of course, folks can always write in candidates as well, but there's a full lineup of candidates, which I think is a good thing at any time. So 6 candidates for 3 positions and 2 for the 1. You may hear reference at times to the 2-year term as a special election. It is a special election as it relates to that term, but it's held on the same day in the same manner on the same ballot as the other vacancies.
Greg, I apologize you mentioned this, but just so the public knows, the ballot listing is pulled from a random hat, and that's how they achieve the order. So that's how they're listing.
Yes.
6 people, they draw 6 times from a hat. Number 1 gets first, and number 6 gets 6th. Yep. Same thing with the 2-year term, number 1 or 2. So I encourage the community to look at all. Just don't look at the first ranking.
It's I don't think it's statutory, but our tradition is the police chief, who's a pretty straight up guy, does the blind draw of the names. So you can thank him or blame him depending on where he ended up on the ballot. Yeah, and I don't have any information at this point as to any candidate forums or that. Those aren't organized by city government, but if there are any organized through community groups like League of Women Voters, TRBA, the Chamber has done some in the past, we'll let you know as part of my report. City staffing updates. We are currently recruiting for a new city electrician and electrical inspector. That application deadline is January 28. We have 3 current full-time vacancies we are recruiting for in the police department. We have an eligibility list of some great candidates, all of whom still need to complete their police officer education, police science education. So recruitment is ongoing. We are looking for a new water utility director. Ross Blaha will be retiring in June. I've tried to dissuade him, tried to let the air out of his tires and different things, but he tells me he will be retiring, and we're still out there in a recruitment mode for that. We do have a new part-time community service officer, Eric Raboyne, who started just late last week. And Eric is featured in the photo there to the right. So we'll keep him plenty busy working alongside our current part-time community service officer at this time. Winter parking ban. Man, this winter's kind of amazing. It's still relatively snowless and the extended forecast is on the light side. So enforcement of the winter parking ban remains in abeyance. We may be not enforcing that for even more days than last winter. So, and the feedback from the community has been good. We wanted, consistent with some feedback that I got from the Personnel and Finance Committee when we reviewed goals, we also want to really make a point at each of these meetings when I present my report of saying a thank you for some of the work done above and beyond the call. Maybe part of their regular jobs, but done especially well above and beyond the call by our employees. So at this meeting, I'd like to take note that our water utility employees have been out 3 times so far this winter. I think all 3 of those times in the last 2 weeks to repair emergency main breaks. 2 of those were late at night. All of them were in pretty darn cold weather. So special thank you there. It's not just a matter of getting out and locating the issue and doing the repairs. It's also patching the street in the wintertime, cleaning up things as best you can, salting the area, making it passable again. I know we had an outage or a main break Saturday night on the south side that had the crews out. We've had a couple up in the Adams Street area. So thank you, water utility employees, for your good work there. Also, got to give some credit to the Parks and Rec Department. They're full-time employees, and the amazing Chris DeCoke on his Zamboni tractor machine there, who have established, and the weather's been with us, the first outdoor skating rink in a number of years up at Washington Park. And if you haven't had a chance to drive by there at night when the lights are on and families are out enjoying it, it's way cool. So Terry, you and your staff, every one of them, thank you. That's great work. I tried to post the video of the Zamboni in action, but it was beyond my technical capabilities. So I think Lisa from my office got an ask out to council. The Chamber's annual awards of distinction, not a dinner, but kind of a stand up and wander around thing at the Capitol Civic Center, is scheduled for February 8th. So if you are interested in attending, that's covered under the council budget. It's a nice chance to get together with folks in the business community and salute the award recipients. That's coming up pretty soon, February 8th at the Capitol Civic Center. Again, please let Lisa know. Mark, I know you've been in touch on that. Central Park West 365, the project fundraising is gearing up. We've got affirmative responses on a couple of naming gifts for some of the larger items. And again, I would hope in 2 weeks to be able to give a more thorough report on that. And Mr. President and Council, that one of many pictures, because half the world gets up early to be at Neshota Beach and take pictures, it seems. This one from our library director. That concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. Great report on the state of the city as well. Job well done by city staff and council, and getting all the positive things happening in 2021, and hopefully that continues to 2022. Was there a legislative update that you wanted to give?
I don't really have anything tonight. Thank you.
All right, very good. Then moving on to number 10, which is the consent agenda. Under A, presentation of minutes, we have 1, which is the regular city council meeting for January 3rd, 2022. Recommended action is a motion to waive reading and adopt the minutes. Under B, we have reports, minutes of meetings. There are 5. Under 2, we have department reports. For December 2021, there are 11. Under 3, finance reports. For November of 2021, we have 4. The recommended action there is a motion to receive and file. Under C, we need to schedule a public hearing to vacate pedestrian way in Sandy Bay Highlands. Recommended action is a motion to schedule public hearing on Monday, February 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m. as recommended by the Plan Commission. Looking for a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Darla. Second by Jeff. Any discussion?
I
Bonnie?
just had a question on, I thought it was, I can't find it in my notes now, but page 32 number 3.1, worked on CDBG CV for service center at the senior center. I was just wondering what that was, because I thought I didn't know there was work being done. That's all. I was
That's,
just curious.
Yeah, that's the grant, I believe was for $86,000 that Community Development Elizabeth had applied for a new drive-up facility, like a drive-up window on the backside
Okay.
of the senior center.
For some reason, I always think that's finished, but it's not even.
No,
started yet.
it's the gift that keeps on giving. We,
All right.
we have gone through consultant selection, brought that back to council, and now, is there a timetable, Elizabeth, for bidding that? Okay, so we should be back at one of the February meetings then with the bid tab and recommendation for award.
Okay, anybody else? All right, see none. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you very much. Moving on to the number 11, City Council formal items. Under A, we have a resolution upon retirement for Lieutenant John Reimer, completing a 27-year career with the Two Rivers Police Department. Recommended action is a motion to read and adopt the resolution. I think we are inviting Chief up to read that?
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution upon retirement. Whereas John P. Reimer joined the ranks of the Two Rivers Police Department on April 20th, 1994, and as a part-time police officer, and later advanced to the status of full-time police officer on September 10th, 1995. And whereas John received a life-saving award for his efforts in saving the life of a Two Rivers resident and was awarded Officer of the Year in 2003 as a patrol officer. And whereas John Reimer was selected in 2007 as a member of the Manitowoc County Special Operations Squad and served honorably for 13 years as a SWAT operator. And whereas on August 12th, 2007, John Reimer was promoted to the rank of patrol lieutenant. And whereas John received a life-saving award for his efforts in saving the life of a Two Rivers resident in September of 2016 and was awarded Officer of the Year that same year. And whereas John was awarded a certificate of merit from the Wisconsin Professional Police Association for his actions in a 2019 critical incident. And whereas John volunteered a great deal of time to the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics, was a member of the Two Rivers Honor Guard, a long-standing use of force instructor, and a valued field training officer and mentor. And whereas John consistently provided exceptional customer service and professional law enforcement services, as evidenced by plenty of thank you cards from the public and numerous commendable performance reviews by his supervisors. And whereas John Reimer retired January 14th, 2022, after serving the city of Two Rivers with dedication and distinction for over 27-year career in the law enforcement profession. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the city of Two Rivers hereby expresses its gratitude and appreciation for John P. Reimer and his contributions to the Two Rivers Police Department and the community of Two Rivers. And be it further resolved that the city of Two Rivers extends its best wishes to John for a long, healthy, and happy retirement. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to retired Lieutenant John P. Reimer in token of the city's thanks for his many years of dedicated service to the citizens of Two Rivers, dated the 17th day of January, 2022.
Very good, and obviously we want to say thank you to John Reimer for all of his services over those 27 years, so round of applause for John. All right, we are looking for a motion to adopt this resolution. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second? Second by Jay. Any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call. Jamie?
Tracy Coach,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Jay Remiker,
Aye.
Bonnie Shumulinus,
Aye.
Larry Thomas,
Aye.
Adam Husky,
Aye.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Jeff Dalke.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving right along to letter B, which is a resolution to petition the Wisconsin Elections Commission to use paper ballots in the February 15th, 2022 spring primary election, which involves the Manitowoc Board of Education only. The recommended action here is a motion to waive reading and adopt that resolution. That is page 129 in your packets. Is there background?
Jamie can offer some background. We have a little sliver of Two Rivers out near the Aurora Hospital and Medical Office Building that lie within the Manitowoc School District, which accounts for these electors.
Right, we have 4 registered voters that fall in the Manitowoc Public School District. The school district has decided to consolidate polling locations, so our voters will vote at the Lakeshore United Methodist Church in Manitowoc on Reed Avenue. And get the word out to them. We're having a meeting tomorrow amongst us clerks to decide exactly how that's being handled and whether we have poll workers go there or if Manitowoc workers are handling all of it, so.
Okay, so again, that only involves 4 residents here in the city of Two Rivers that will be voting for that, so.
The church on Reed Avenue, I dare say, is probably almost about as close as the Abundant Life Church if they came this way. So.
All right, looking for a motion to waive the reading and adopt the resolution.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Darla. Second by Jay. Any discussion? See none, this is a roll call vote. Jamie?
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Jay Remiker, Bonnie Shimelunas,
Aye.
Larry Thomas,
Aye.
Adam Husky,
Aye.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Jeff Dalke,
Aye.
Tracy Coach.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And for C, we have a resolution authorizing the city of Two Rivers to submit an idle sites redevelopment grant. Page 130 in your packet. The recommended action here is a motion to waive reading and adopt that resolution. Greg, background, please.
Actually, if Elizabeth would like to speak to it, this is on the idle
Okay.
sites. Yeah, I will say one of the conditions in the purchase agreement with Trivers LLC, Mr. Dumke, is that the city submit an application for this funding. And Elizabeth can also explain why I said 250 and the resolution says 5, because I still trip on that one. So.
We have submitted this before for 2 other of our purchase agreements that we've entered into. So this should be familiar to most of you on council. As a good faith effort in our purchase agreement with Two Rivers LLC or Mr. Dumke, who we are entered into an agreement for the purchase of 606 Paragon is that we will submit an idle site grant redevelopment under WEDC. So this is a template resolution that we have, and it just simply states that this program is targeted for idle sites or literally sites that are idle or abandoned or underutilized, and that you can leverage the private funding investment that they will be investing to improve the site. And they have initially given us estimates, as we've all been presented, that exceeds $7 million, which far meets the criteria for anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 from WEDC. So we put up to $500,000, not to limit ourselves in our resolution or the request. The typical and standard application, the grant award has been 250. So in this resolution language, we did put requests for up to 500,000. So that's why it does say that. And then all of the language within this resolution simply states some of the template language such that they will be making a significant private investment. The city will assist with this grant and act as the funding pass-through. So where the city is the applicant itself, and the funds, should they be awarded, will pass through the city, and then we will then pass those funds on when they meet all the criteria that will be in the contract that we would enter with WEDC. Are there any questions about this?
We have to enter into a motion. So if you want to stick up there, do I have a motion? Thank you, Larry. Do I have a second? Mark, any discussion? Any questions? Okay, perfect. This is a roll call vote. Jamie?
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Jay Remiker,
Aye.
Bonnie Shamulinus,
Aye.
Larry Thomas,
Aye.
Adam Huskey,
Aye.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Jeff Dalkey,
Aye.
Tracy Coach,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. D, a resolution declaring official intent to reimburse expenditures from the proceeds of borrowing 2022 budgeted capital projects. Recommended action is a motion to waive reading and adopt that resolution. That is page 132 in your packet with the green highlight on there. Greg, any background?
Sure, thank you. This is a resolution that we typically bring to city council this time of year. Back in early December, you adopted a 2022 budget that included various capital projects that were to be financed through the issuance of new general obligation debt. Those items proposed for and approved for debt financing total $2,349,390 in the various categories listed in the little table that's inserted here. This doesn't mean that you're approving the final borrowing tonight, but what this does do is it assures that the city is covered if there are expenditures made on any of these capital purchases or projects prior to the borrowing being done. Otherwise, if you expend the dollars and more than 60 days has passed before you do the borrowing, it would be disqualified for funding. You can't without at least doing a resolution like this that officially states the city's intent to reimburse from proceeds of borrowing, you can end up getting in a bind, I guess is the best way I put it. So each year we bring these. We anticipate working over the next couple of months with our financial consultants at Baird to put these out there as actually it would all be 10-year borrowing, general obligation notes. And hopefully that borrowing will be back for final action by the council in March or April. You also will, you might recall you approved resolutions on 3 items that were authorized to purchase before the budget was finalized. And in each of those, we stated the intent to reimburse any advanced costs from the proceeds of borrowing. That was the Badger books and some related election equipment, the new property tax software that we wanted to get a move on with ordering and implementing, and also the new snow blower that had a significant lead time. Those numbers are rolled into this application as well. It doesn't mean we're going to borrow twice, but those purchases are within the total shown here. This does not include any borrowing for any assistance to 3000 Forest Avenue, TID number 15. That is allowed for in the budget, but if we do that, that's going to be a separate topic coming back to the council. And if we do that, it would probably be a state trust fund loan, not general obligation debt.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion.
President, I'll make a motion to waive reading and adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second? Thank you, Larry. Now, any council discussion?
I was just gonna add, fire department section there.
Yes, there is a balance of $750 on that. I believe we're taking 2 out of existing balance there. But yeah, that reflects the additional amount of net borrowing for the new truck. We paid $400,000 down last year on order.
Any other questions? Are there any grants that we're applying for public works streets? Or is that the total number that we are borrowing? I didn't remember it being that high.
No, not for the streets per se, for the utilities underneath them. On 17th Street next year, we've made application for Clean Water Fund and Safe Drinking Water Fund, which would be long-term borrowing through those programs and potentially 30% principal forgiveness or effectively a grant. Not aware of anything for the 17th Street reconstruction as to the street itself or the Zlatnik Drive resurfacing. We are going to be pursuing an amendment to TID number 7, the old hospital TIF district, for that to help pay for the 17th and/or Zlatnik projects. We addressed going for 600,000 from that TIF through an amendment.
Okay.
So that would be the only, if you will, contingent source of funding out there.
That could potentially bring this borrowing.
No,
Back down?
this borrowing would stay
This
the
borrowing
same,
would stay.
but that was a preference of the council when the budget was adopted. So we, although we'd still do this amount of borrowing, it would be more like 1.75 million that would be supported out of the tax levy for debt service.
Okay.
Because recall, we're looking at trying to stay at 1.8 million or
Right.
below on new debt to sort of flatline that debt service tax rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anybody else before we wrap it up? No? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Jamie?
Jay Remiker. Bonnie Shimmy-Lunas.
Aye.
Larry Thomas. Adam Husky.
Aye.
Mark Bittner.
Aye.
Jeff Dalkey.
Aye.
Tracy Coach.
Aye.
Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Bill Leclerc.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Moving on to letter E, ordinance amendment, section 1-2-1, fees of the municipal code, establishing fees for emergency medical services and fire response services. Recommended action is a motion to waive reading and adopt the ordinance. That is page 134 in your packet. Greg or Chief, any background?
Chief Denzine can answer any questions you might have. We periodically look at our rates and again, there's a little bit of fire on here, but it's primarily EMS or emergency medical related charges. The idea being to try to at least optimize revenues for that service. And you've got in your materials, not only the ordinance, but a comparison of proposed rates and the current rates, which have been in effect about 2 years, and also a EMS related rate survey that was done by our contract billing service. Beyond that, though, the chief can answer your questions.
All right, let's get a motion to waive reading and adopt the ordinance. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Jay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tracy. Now, any discussion?
I have a quick question. When was the last time the rates changed? Because these are some pretty significant.
At the end of 19, early 20 is when we adopted the new ones.
What's the difference between a BLS and an ALS?
So basic life support and advanced life support has to do with the level of care and treatment. When you go into an advanced life support kind of call, that's usually when they bring in the cardiac monitor, they're administering drugs, taking blood, things like that. Basic life support is bandaging, care, assessments, things of that nature.
So if you were a diabetic whose blood sugar dropped so low that they had to call 911, it would be getting ALS?
Correct.
And what's the difference between ALS and, I'm not criticizing, I'm just curious, ALS 1 and ALS 2?
So ALS 2 is when you do, it's usually when you're running 2 or more drugs or if there's more significant treatments. So if they have to do some of the advanced procedures such as put on our automated compression device, intubate, things of that nature, then that goes up to that ALS 2.
Go ahead, Mark.
Assuming our citizens have insurance coverage, are all these proposed rates within the acceptable degree of insurance coverage?
Yeah, our insurance rates they vary. So private insurance pays more than public insurance, such as Medicare or Medicaid. There is a increase in those rates coming, and we bill them. And then with Medicare and Medicaid, we accept whatever the payment is, and then eat the rest.
With that stated, then it's assumed that citizens who have private insurance will be covered with these new rates, and people who don't, we accept the rates of the public insurance, whatever we get.
Correct.
Shortfall.
They have to accept assignment on
Right.
Medicare and Medicaid. Correct. And that's why typically, and I know, Mark, you've watched this over years on council, our net collection percentage, help me out, Chief, but usually it's in the low to mid 50s as far as what you actually receive compared to the gross billings.
That's Actually in the 40s, but
Oh, okay.
we have a lot of our population is Medicare, Medicaid, so that takes down the amount of monies that we actually receive, so.
Is that the reason for the large increase? Is the hope to kind of take some of that back from Medicare, Medicaid?
No, because they're not gonna change their reimbursement. That's actually off of the survey that we did. Our billing company is called LifeQuest. That would be the third sheet. It'd probably be sheet 136, I believe, maybe in your packets. That actually goes and it looks at the different rates for different services. And then I went right in the middle of the recommendations of where we should go with the billing. I usually gave the residents the lower end or even under what they recommended, and I gave the non-residents a higher one. So non-residents, if somebody's visiting, something like that, we actually do provide services to Kellnersville as well. They would get the non-residents fee that they would get charged. I also shared these rates with Valders and the city of Manitowoc, and I'll be calling Mishicot tomorrow to share them as well. Valders has adopted them, Manitowoc is looking at it, and obviously with Mishicot hopefully they will adopt them as well.
Hopefully it's simple. I see, obviously you have a rig stationed at the high school for football games. Does the city pay that or is that a school fee?
So if you look actually on that billing sheet, there is a fee. It's under, where did I put it?
Page 134.
Standby,
Yeah.
page 134.
I saw that
Yep.
you said the charge. I just thought who's footing that bill?
So actually the high school pays for that. And
Okay.
it's $125 for 4 hours. Traditionally, it costs us about that much for 1 hour. So it's kind of a give and take.
So at this point, we'll be a little bit higher than Manitowoc, or is Manitowoc changing theirs as well?
I believe they're going to change theirs as
They're
well.
gonna change theirs as well, just as costs go up. Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Bonnie Shimulunis,
Aye.
Larry Thomas,
Aye.
Adam Wahusky,
Aye.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Jeff Dalkey,
Aye.
Tracy Coach,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Jay Remiker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. On to number 12 for information only.
Pretty basic. This is a 5 Monday month, so the work session typically when there are 5 Mondays goes to the last Monday. So there is no scheduled council meeting on the 24th.
There is on your website,
Oh, geez, Louise, really? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
because I put it in my personal calendar
Okay.
when I saw the website.
We will get that corrected then. Thank you, Tracy. It was only the 24th, not the 31st?
Only 24th,
Okay,
so you,
thank you. And yeah, and then the next regular meeting is on February 7th.
All right. We do need a closed session, so moving on to 13, closed session. The city council reserves the right to enter into a closed session per Wisconsin statutes 19.85 1E when deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Tonight will be a discussion proposed purchase agreement with Manitowoc County for the purchase of vacant tax acquired property on 20th Street. Also to consider proposals received for the purchase and redevelopment of the city-owned redevelopment property at 2023 Washington Street. And to consider possible city assistance to development projects. There is a good chance we will reconvene into open session. So if anyone wants to hang around, they're more than welcome to do that. Just got to make sure you're outside council chambers. Yeah, so is that correct? We should probably be coming in.
I do, it's fair to anticipate there would be council
The
action
action.
on reconvening.
Okay, great. So I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Larry. Any discussion? Roll call.
Larry Thomas,
Aye.
Adam Wahusky,
Aye.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Jeff Dalkey.
Aye.
Tracy Coach, Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Jay Remiker,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimulunis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Jeez, we're pretty quick, but. Correction anyway?